Hey guys, welcome back. It's time to talk about diversification. Diversification is one of the most important parts of investing, so it's really important that we flush this topic out and fully understand exactly what it is we should be doing. So, what is this big mistake? Well, many people make the mistake of thinking that Warren Buffett doesn't like diversification. And to be fair, I can see why. You see, his best known quote on diversification is this: "Diversification is a protection against ignorance and makes very little sense if you know what you are doing." So it's not surprising that many people think we shouldn't diversify, but that would be a huge mistake. So I'm going to show you that you must diversify your stock portfolio, and that in fact even Warren Buffett does diversify. And that is why I created this video. As always, if you do find anything useful in the video, you can diversify your mouse clicks and drop a like. That would be very much appreciated. Okay, so let's start with the man himself. What does Warren Buffett say about diversification?
And that gets back to the diversification question. We think diversification is, as practiced generally, makes very little sense for anyone that knows what they're doing. Diversification is a protection against ignorance. I mean, if you want to make sure that nothing bad happens to you relative to the market, you own everything. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that is a perfectly sound approach for somebody who does not feel they know how to analyze businesses. If you know how to analyze businesses and value businesses, it's crazy to own 50 stocks or 40 stocks or 30 stocks probably, because there aren't that many wonderful businesses that are understandable to a single human being in all likelihood. And to have some super wonderful business and then put money in number 30 or 35 on your list of attractiveness and forego putting more money into number 1 just strikes Charlie and me as madness. You know, on a personal portfolio basis, you know, I own one stock, you know, but it's a business I know, and it leaves me very comfortable. So, you know, do I need to own 28 stocks in order to, you know, have proper diversification? You know, it'd be nonsense. And within Berkshire, I could pick out 3 of our businesses, and I would be very happy if they were the only businesses we owned and I had all my money in Berkshire. Now, I love it, the fact that we can find more than that and that we keep adding to it. But 3 wonderful businesses is more than you need in this life to do very well. And the average person isn't going to run into that. I mean, if you look at how the fortunes were built in this country, they weren't built out of a portfolio of 50 companies. They were built by someone who identified with a wonderful business.
Diversification is a protection against ignorance and makes very little sense if you know what you are doing. So as you can see, it's really not surprising that many people would listen to that and think that diversifying is bad. And here's the thing, do not follow that advice. And in fact, even Warren Buffett himself doesn't follow that advice. Let me explain. Okay, so let me give you guys a visual of what a non-diversified portfolio looks like. And it looks like this. As you can see, 100% of your portfolio is in just one stock. And the problem with this is that if something happens to this stock, your portfolio takes a full hit. So this portfolio is not diversified. And now let me show you what a diversified portfolio looks like. So as you can see here, you're now diversified into 2 different companies. Now this time, if something happens to this company, then you have a second company for protection. And this is one of the main issues with diversification, is the fact that it's relative. So there is a sliding scale of diversification, and this would be an example of the minimum, but it's still a diversified portfolio. So now let's take a look at Warren Buffett's portfolio. This is the portfolio of Berkshire Hathaway. And as you can see, it's not one company or 2 companies. It's actually made up of 47 different companies. So a very diversified portfolio. And to be fair though, most of the portfolio, 85%, is made up of the top 10 companies. So let's not take into account all of the smaller positions and just say this portfolio is made up of mostly 10 companies. But we can even take this up another level. You see, Warren Buffett also has a large cash position, and he keeps this in T-bills, so short-term government bonds. So his portfolio actually looks more like this. So a third of the portfolio is actually in short-term bonds, and then it's split out mostly across 10 different companies. So as you can see, this is a diversified portfolio. So as you can see, Warren Buffett does in fact diversify. And in fact, he's got quite a diversified portfolio across multiple stocks and asset classes. Okay, moving on, back to Warren Buffett as he explains the difference of owning 3 companies versus an index fund of 100 companies. Take a look.
A really wonderful business is very well protected against the vicissitudes of the economy over time and the competition. I mean, you know, we're talking about businesses that are resistant to effective competition, and 3 of those will be better than 100 average businesses. And they'll be safer, incidentally. I mean, there is less risk in owning 3 easy to identify wonderful businesses than there is in owning 50. If I had to bet the next 30 years on the fortunes of my family that would be dependent upon the income from a given group of businesses, I would rather pick 3 businesses from those we own than own a diversified group of 50.
So the next big point we need to discuss is about owning 3 stocks versus an index fund. Buffett's main point is that it makes no sense putting money into company 100 when that money could be going into company 1, 2, or 3. And this is why Warren Buffett doesn't use index funds. And you know what? That is a fair point, and the logic does make sense. However, here is why for 99% of smaller investors, the index fund is still going to be the smarter choice. Because what you may not know is that Warren Buffett spends about 6 hours a day reading financial statements and corporate reports. And he has done this for decades. And that is how he's able to reduce his risk and just own 3 stocks. Now, if you are able to spend 6 hours a day for decades studying financial reports, then feel free to copy. However, if you are investing alongside a job, have several other things going on in your life, have a family to take care of, or just don't want to spend all day, every day analyzing stocks, then yes, index funds are probably going to be the better choice. Okay, and to finish up, what about Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man? What does Charlie Munger think about diversification? Charlie, please could you share with us your wisdom from over 70 years of investing?
Much of what is taught in modern corporate finance courses is twaddle.
Thanks, Charlie. Clearly a man of few words. So I hope this clears things up on diversification. And let me just quickly sum everything up. Warren Buffett has a famous quote: "Diversification is a protection against ignorance and makes very little sense if you know what you are doing." However, as we saw, Warren Buffett does in fact diversify. He says he would prefer to own 3 good businesses instead of 100. And that is great if you are Warren Buffett or are able to dedicate your life to investing. But for most people, index funds and ETFs are going to be the better choice. So there you are, guys. I hope you found this useful. In fact, just one favor to ask. If you did find anything useful in the video, be sure to drop a like. That would be very much appreciated. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I invite you to click below and join us. I do have some great videos coming up that you don't want to miss. Okay, cheers guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.